Who leads the Vatican when the Pope is hospitalized? The health status of Pope Francis, the leader of the global Catholic Church, has raised concerns among believers and others worldwide after the Vatican described it as not good due to pneumonia affecting both his lungs. At 88 years old, Pope Francis has been suffering from respiratory infections for over a week and is receiving treatment at Gemelli Hospital in Rome. Given Pope Francis's health condition, questions have emerged about who leads the Church while he is ill. Father Thomas Uizzi, a master student in canon law in Rome, explains that while the Vatican has detailed laws and traditions for transferring power when a pope dies or resigns, there are no rules specifying who assumes the pope's authority when he is ill. The Vatican stated that on Tuesday, Francis had eaten breakfast, read newspapers, and walked around, with his recovery progressing after surgery. However, his extended hospital stay has sparked curiosity about the operation of papal authority in the Holy See, with some wondering about his condition. According to Father Thomas, no one else can fulfill the Pope's duties in the Roman Church. Even if Pope Francis remains hospitalized for a long time, no one can take on his authority. All his responsibilities will be suspended until he recovers. When drafting papal law, there was an intention to create laws for when the Pope is ill or unable to perform his duties, but it was never approved, he added. Nonetheless, Father Thomas notes that the Catholic Church's services continue as usual during the Pope's illness, through what is referred to as the congregation, similar to a ministry within the Catholic Church. The Pope is regarded as the successor of the Apostle Peter and the shepherd of the global Catholic Church, according to canon law. Despite Pope Francis's illness, his status, position, and authority remain unchanged since his election as the 266th Pope on March 13, 2013, even when he underwent 3-hour surgery to remove half of his intestine. This is according to theological structure. The Pope's authority is supreme, complete, and universal, said canon lawyer Nicholas Caffardi. So if his authority is at that level, who will decide that he can no longer exercise that authority? No one other than himself. What about the Vatican Curia? The Roman Curia is the administrative tool of the Holy See and the central governing body of the Catholic Church. It is a group of various Vatican bureaus that assist the Pope in the day-to-day exercise of his primatial jurisdiction over the Roman Catholic Church. The Curia is responsible for coordinating and providing the required central organization for the functioning of the Catholic Church and the attainment of its objectives. The word Curia means court. Pope Francis acts as a supervisor, delegating daily Vatican and Church activities to a team of officials who operate regardless of his presence or consciousness, says Father Thomas. Other Vatican operations continue as usual, including the release of daily noon statements and the announcement of new bishops appointed by the Pope in Nicaragua, Nigeria, and England. These appointments might have been approved in advance, though Francis could still sign orders and handle other important matters from his hospital bed, as did St. John Paul II during his hospitalization. What happens when the Pope is ill? Canon law provides guidelines for when a diocesan bishop is ill and unable to manage his diocese but does not specify anything for the Pope. Canon 412 states that a diocese can be declared impeded if its bishop cannot fulfill his pastoral duties due to incapacity, imprisonment, exile, or inability. In such cases, the administration shifts to an auxiliary bishop, vicar general, or another person. While Francis is the Bishop of Rome, there is no explicit provision for the Pope being impeded. Canon 335 states that when the Holy See is vacant or completely impeded, nothing can be changed in the governance of the Church. However, it does not explain what it means for the Holy See to be completely impeded or which provisions would apply if it were. In reality, we have no law for this, Caffardi said. There is no canon and no specific document that outlines how to determine incapacity, if incapacity can be temporary or permanent, and most importantly, who would lead the Church at that time. We simply leave it to the Holy Spirit. What happens when the Pope dies or resigns? According to canon law and papal law, all papal services cease, except for spiritual services, apostolic penitentiary, says Father Thomas. The only time the Pope's authority changes is when the Pope dies or resigns. At that point, the entire sequence of rituals, traditions, and procedures follows in establishing the interregnum, the period between the end of one pope and the election of a new pope. During this period, known as sede vacante or empty see, the camerlengo, or chamberlain, papal office, oversees the administration and finances of the Holy See. They confirm the Pope's death, seal the papal apartments, and prepare for the Pope's funeral before the conclave to elect a new Pope. Cardinal Kevin Farrell, head of the Vatican's Office for the Laity, currently holds this position. To summarize this matter about the question that who leads Vatican if Pope remains hospitalized, it should be understood that the health condition of Pope Francis has underscored the complexities and gaps within the Catholic Church's laws and traditions regarding the leadership and authority of the Pope during times of illness. While the Vatican has comprehensive protocols for the transition of power following the death or resignation of a Pope, there are no clear provisions for situations when the Pope is temporarily incapacitated due to illness. Pope Francis, though hospitalized and undergoing treatment, continues to delegate daily Vatican operations to his team of officials, ensuring that the Church's functions persist. The absence of explicit guidelines for handling a Pope's incapacitation highlights the unique nature of papal authority, which is supreme and universal, and can only be relinquished by the Pope himself. As the successor of the Apostle Peter, Pope Francis remains the spiritual leader of the global Catholic Church, and his duties and responsibilities are suspended until his recovery. The theological and canonical framework of the Church maintains that no one can assume the Pope's authority, emphasizing the reliance on the Holy Spirit for guidance during such uncertain times. Ultimately, the situation calls attention to the need for potential developments in canon law to address the nuances of papal incapacitation, while reaffirming the steadfast faith and continuity of the Church's mission and services.